For more updates, click on subscribe and click on bell button for latest notifications. So let's jump into the practical session and see how we can create the users, groups, roles, and assign the role to the service. Okay, let's see here how can we create the users and groups, policies, and assign the roles to the particular service to perform certain actions, right? So how we can do that here? You have to go to IAM in the search bar. If you type IAM, click on this IAM identity and access management. So it will load the console here. You can see that there are certain users groups is already available here. You can see. Now if you go and click on the users, first actually we'll create the users, then add that to the group. Say add user here, the provide the username. What is the username you would like to provide here? Let's say my username is going to be techarkit1, and say do you need a access to the console. Let's say provide user access to the AWS management console, and specify the user identity sender recommended, it says, but I want IAM user to be created. I want to create the IAM user here, and say if you want to auto generate the password, it can be auto generated, or if you want to provide the custom password, you can click on here and provide the custom password. Okay, and say user must create the new password and next to sign in. So once sign in, it will ask you to reset the user password for the first time. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click next here and add users to the group. If you want to select the group here, you can select that, but as of now I don't want to do that. Okay, let's continue with that, right? Next, now here is my user, and this role is assigned to that particular user to change the password once user is logged into the console. So now what I'm saying, purpose of this is going to be a demo purpose, and say tag, I just say create the user, and you have to download this credential report, the credential file, otherwise you won't get the credential. So return to the user list. So now you can see the user techarkit1 is created, but it does not have any groups or any policies associated with that user. Okay, so what you have to do, so in order to provide the permissions, either you can create the policy and assign to that user, or create the group and create the policy and assign to the group, and add that user to the group. So that way you can do that. So to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one more user to check that what is the permissions we'll have here. I just create the similar access, right? Then next, so I just say create the user here. So I have created the two users and downloaded their credentials. Now go to user, so it does not have any group list here. There is no group is added to that one. Just go to users and group. Now say create group. I'm going to create the group here. So my group name is going to be Linux administrators, and say who are the users going to be there on that particular group is techarkit1, techarkit2 is the one which are going to there on that particular one, and say what is the access you required for that. So AWS administrator access, which I'm looking for. So you say that administrator access, AWS managed job function, provide full access to the AWS services and resources. These two accounts will have the full access. Say create the group. So now you can see the Linux administrators has been created, and the two users has been added to that one, techarkit1, techarkit2, and the policies assigned to that particular group, which is, you can see the permissions. What are the permissions you have? Administrator access. If you expand that, what is the policy you have here? So it's a effective allow. I'm allowing the policy here, and actions. all the actions they can do. And what is the resource limitation here? There is no resource limitation. All the resources, all the actions and all the resources, which means that those two users can do anything on this particular console. Okay, so this is access advisory. Whenever you are log into those users and check that login, then you can verify that, so how many services the user is accessed, how many services he does not access. So by the time it will show you the details, then you can revoke the access which are not accessed from the long time, so that the access advisory works here. So now what I'm going to do here, I have created the human account and provided the access, but now I wanted to create the role where I don't have any user. I wanted to access the EC2 would access the S3 bucket which write the data to that. How you can do that? Let's say create the role and to the AWS service. Now say EC2 is going to access some service here. So let's say EC2, and next go and S3 full access. I'm looking for let's say Amazon S3 full access, which is going to be S3 access will be assigned. Let's say S3 full access to EC2 instance. That's the my role name. And say what is the purpose of this one. Purpose is going to be a particularly role, demo role, which is going to be, it's a demo purpose. I'm creating this one and say create the role here. Now you can see which is going to create the role. The role has been created. You can see the S3 EC2 instance has been created. S3 full access to EC2 instance has been created. Now how can you assign that role? So you have to put that gap on EC2 so that the EC2 can access the S3 bucket. So go to security and modify the role, IAM role, and say S3 full access to EC2 instance. This is the role, so I'm assigning to that particular instance. You can see now the role has been attached here. Now let's go to the account settings. So where you can select the policies for the users and groups, like the password policies, how strong you set that policies and all. So here you can see password policy and click here and say IAM default is this one. So 8 characters, 1 upper character, lower character, numbers and non-alphabetic numbers. Never expire the password. Must notice the must not to be identical to your user account, something like that, right? So you can say custom. If you want to increase your security, say 15 characters required on uppercase, lowercase, one number and special characters. Turn on the password expiry. So how many days the password should expiry, say maybe 45 days or 90 days, whatever it is. Password expiry allows user to change their own password. Prevent password reuse. So how many times the password can be reused. So how many last passwords can be reused? 3 passwords cannot be, last 3 passwords cannot be reused. Let's say save settings. So it will ask you to section for the selection. You can say set custom. Now your password policy has been changed. You have to change the all the users password to author this policy settings, otherwise it won't accept the password. And click on that particular user and see access advisory. You can see that it will show you that what are the user has accessed. You can see detailed information like EC2 accessed, IAM, CloudWatch, organizations, health APIs, notifications, AWS support. So these are all the user is accessed today. So there are so many things you can see that. So when it is accessed and when it is, see that. So this is the access advisory, will give you the more detailed of the user is, what user is accessed. So you can also use the credential report So if you download the credential report, this will provide you the how the users are managing. So what are the users are there, how many users. So this is the credentials reports. You can see that what are the users are there, their ARN details, and when it is created, whether the password is enabled or not. Okay, password when it is last used, password last changed, password next rotation date, MFA, whether the MFA is enabled or not on particular user account or not, and what are the access keys and details. This is the credential report, where if you have multiple users and so many users, you can simply identify that the users logged in date and all. If the user is not logged in from so long, then you can disable the user and keep this account secure, which can be used, the credential report can be used in such a way. So let's see how you can enable the MFA to the particular user here. So if you go to the user and click on that particular user and say enable without MFA, you can see that the console access, you can see enable without MFA here. So click on this red one and say enable MFA. Now it will ask you that which one you would like to provide that access, like which one, like you want to use the authenticator app, security key if you have the device, or the hardware TOTP token. So hardware TOTP token means you have to purchase the token and attach you to your hardware system. So here what I'm doing, I say my mobile and authenticator app, I'm going to use it, and say next. Now it will show you the QR code. You have to scan the QR code here. So now click on place and see here it's MFA. You have to type this MFA number and just wait. It will give you the one more MFA in few seconds. So now enter the another code which it has generated and say add MFA. So now your MFA has been enabled. So once you log into the console, it will ask you for the MFA code. So you have to go to your authenticator app and whatever the code is generated, you have to provide that MFA there. So then you can log into that particular account.